I'm Michael Bain and welcome to Triggered, brought to you by Midway USA, just about everything for hunting, shooting, and the outdoors. Of course, we're coming to you from the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains and Dragon House Studios, which has a new resident today. That's Bob. Bob is from South Africa. He's obviously a warthog, and for those of you who might wonder, my shot was 197 yards on a running warthog using a Marlin 44 action lever gun that was built by Wild West Guns in Las Vegas. So, Jeremy, thank you. So this show today is a little bit of continuation of a show we did a couple of weeks ago, which was kind of guns to carry with you on the long haul. You're driving somewhere, you've got them in a bag, or you're staying in a hotel room, or any situation where you might want a slightly more stable gun than a pistol, right? Because with a pistol, you have 2 points of contact, of course, your hands. But with any kind of longer guns, you may have 4 points of contact. With a brace, it's just a third point of contact there. If it's shouldered, you've got your cheek. You can also rest a brace on your cheek. If it's an SBR, you can go to a shoulder stock and rest on your shoulder. It is simply more stable, and that's just the truth of it. Where that really plays out is shots beyond 7 yards, 10 yards, things like that. When you look at a 50-yard shot or a 100-yard shot, a more stable gun means a lot. So we'd been talking about the Kel-Tec Sub 2000. We were talking about the Ruger PC Charger pistol with a folding brace. Some of the AK/AR systems that had folding braces. My friend Kevin Creighton, who wrote an excellent job on braces for Glocks, mentioned to me that, hey, what about the Recover tactical system? And I actually have had one on order for a while. So I said, yeah, as soon as one floats in the door. And as if by hand of the occult, amazingly, a Recover tactical unit did come in. And these are like, say, the Ronnie system, MCK system from CAA. They're like a B&T's USW system, Flux Defense. Essentially, they are creating a chassis for a Glock, and in some cases some other guns, say a SIG 320. And most of them are equipped with braces. The B&T is a stock unit, so the B&T is only a registered unit through NFA. So this particular unit, the Recover Tactical, one of the things that struck me about it is it's a little bit of a more elegant unit than some of the other ones I've worked with. I went through a class with one of the CAA ones, and they do work exactly as I just said. But this particular one, you got to do some assembly. So I'm going to kind of take you through the gun first, and then we'll show you the attributes of what we have here. The gun that is in this particular chassis is my old Glock 34. My USPSA open gun. It doesn't have any sights. Hadn't had any sights for years because typically I'm using a different mounting system to mount the sights on it. By the way, it's my first Glock. It was a personal gift from Gaston Glock, which it's kind of neat. But obviously a little bit longer. The 34 are always considered the practical tactical guns, more of a game gun, longer barrel. So in a sense, it's ideal for a chassis system. All you have to do is insert gun in chassis. And the way we do that, the first step is this thingy right here. What this first step thing is allow you to be able to actually rack the slide easier. And one of the things I thought was fairly interesting was Recover Tactical offered you 2 options with that. This is the short option, the one that I have on the gun. They also have a taller option. Same thing, it fits right here, right on top of the gun, right here. And what that does is, because of this window that they have here, it in effect converts your fixed sights into some kind of ghost ring. That buys you a little. Certainly makes it easier to rack. However, it is not compatible with a red dot sight, which is obviously where we're going here. And in fact, if you look at the top of the Glock and you look at it with the slide racking piece on, it's 2 pieces, they bolt together. You're still going to have to do some grinding if, for example, you wanted to mount this on one of your guns where you already had a red dot sight. In fact, I tried it on a Glock MOS that had a plate, and it looked to me like you would have to go to the grinder and take just a little bit off to fit this. It's a fitting function. So once you get this guy on, hey, that's easy. From then on, you're going to add these Picatinny rail units on the side, and then this is a clamshell. So it opens up like a clam. Get it? That's how it works. So you open it up, place the gun in, and it's pretty easy. The gun is going to fit into the rail system. The beaver tail is going to fit in place. And what you do then is, wait for it, close the clam. Screw it down. They provide you with the tools. They provide you with everything you need. So we're going to keep talking about this when we get back from commercial.
The revolutionary TCM from Rock Island Armory. Fire it once and you'll be hooked. The first thing you'll notice is its sonic boom and enormous muzzle flash as it hurls the exclusive Armscore 22 TCM round downrange at a blistering 2,000 feet per second with penetrating impact. It shoots surprisingly easy with light recoil. The 17-round TCM series, so fun to shoot, it's like a thrill ride, only better.
Welcome back to Triggered, brought to you by Midway USA, where today we're focusing on the recovered tactical folding chassis for the Glock pistol. So once you clamp down on the clamshell, and you should probably do that listening to Elvis Presley's version of Do the Clam, so you got the whole clam package going. But once you've done that, what you now have is a Glock with a folding pistol brace. You push the button here, brace folds, and clamps down on this side. You will note that you can use a full two-hand grip on the Glock to run it with this brace locked in place on the side. You still have access to the gun that way. And when the brace is open and locked in place, you slip your arm in. It's got Velcro strap. You're familiar with braces. You know how they work. This one actually works amazingly well. Slide it on your arm. It's right there. And it gives you essentially what we were talking about is a third point of contact. If this is braced and I can shoot it with one hand, maybe I can wrap my hands here and I've got a brace there. I have added the third point of contact and it is far more stable. Now, I bought the $185 package. It came with the Picatinny rails. It also came with slingy thingy. It fits into a loop on the bottom so you can actually carry this slung. And you can use the pressure of the sling. It's a bungee, a little bit of a bungee. You can use the pressure when you push out with it as an extra anchor point. There's a number of ways you can do that. It also came with this guy right here. And this guy, you're going like, well, that's a vertical foregrip. It is not. Were it a vertical foregrip, this would be any other weapon, which is an NFA control weapon. NFA states that if a pistol has a vertical foregrip, it becomes any other weapon. Now, they also have stated over the years that if it's an angled foregrip, that doesn't count as a foregrip. So this one, if you note, is angled. Sits in there just like that. Basically, the magazine is not a lock-in, it's just a pressure fit. But this came with the $185 package. And I suppose you could use it for a foregrip. Don't. Same thing with shouldering this. We're in a really tense kind of world right now. And that's the next thing I wanted to talk to you about. When we move to a braced pistol, just remember, at this exact point in time, we're under serious scrutiny. Now, I can quote the law to you, and if you're carrying this and you're in some kind of incident, you whip it out, you open it up, and use it to defend yourself, you may be able to quote the law to that particular law enforcement officer, and you may go to jail. The law is what the law says, but just because it says, well, there's a braced pistol, it doesn't necessarily mean that every law enforcement officer in the country understands that or agrees with it. So I caution you on that. And I have no crystal ball. We've already seen the ATF introduce just right before Christmas their clarification on what a pistol brace is, and they withdrew that. There's some congressional pressure for them to clearly define a brace, but we, once again, we are in a different world. We are not in the same country we were in the last time you saw Triggered. That's the truth, and I think you understand that. So to me, though, what you have here is a great unit. It's light, it folds, it uses Glocks, the most standard gun in the world. You have an option to carry a second magazine with it. It has a brace that's simple to slip on and works. It is an enormously well thought out unit. I was very, very impressed with how well thought out this is, and it's a minimalist unit as well. A couple other things come in the box, which we'll talk about here. They give you a holster on the $185 package. You have to take off one of the Picatinny rails, but then it slips down and locks into this holster. It's a paddle holster, which means that the first time you wear it, and if you get in a fight with it, somebody's going to snap it off on your belt. But it's a good thought, because when you've got this odd folding gun, it's obviously not going to work with the 25 Glock holsters that you have, in the big bucket in your house. But it comes with a holster and an interesting adapter. Whoops, I'll juggle in a minute. You'll love it. This is an adapter that clamps onto your basic standard Glock. And once this adapter is clamped on, then your basic standard Glock can also use this holster and lock in. So if you got another Glock and you say, hey, I've got this holster, I'm carrying it with it, well, it'll work. So I thought that was a nice touch to give you an option on the way to carry this gun. And what I'm waiting for right now, and just hadn't gotten here yet, I was ordered separately, is a attachment that replaces one of the Picatinny rails. I think it's the right side, I wouldn't swear to that. But it replaces one of these rails with a riser that has a Picatinny rail on top of it to carry a sight. Why would it do that? Well, one of the things I noticed, and I think I'm not the only one who's notices it, is with the gun braced, your head is kind of in an odd situation. Like, let's say this gun is locked in here, and boy, oh boy, where are your sights? Normally they're down here on the slide. So your head has to do some weird contortions. Well, if you go with the replacement for the Picatinny rail, and it has a Picatinny side rail, but it comes up, goes over, like a lot of frame mounts for competition guns. You've seen a dozen frame mounts that do that. I have two. I usually use either the Carver Custom or the 6-second Glock mount from ALG. But what it gives you is a place to mount your sight at a higher axis. And lo and behold, if I set up about 3/4 of an inch here, I have a much easier viewpoint. Somebody thought this thing through. So I was going to have this slide cut for something, a Tridge, one of the new Crimson Trace sights that'll be out in May that are really rock and roll. But I decided, no, let's wait. Let's wait until I get this side unit and mount the sight up there, which will make this easier to use. All in all, this is a very, very smart, very well-designed unit. But understand this, we do not know where the world is going. I personally think this is where my Glock should live forever, because it really needs a permanent home. Nothing sadder than a Glock that's like, a transient. In any case, we will be right back with more Triggered in just a moment. This week's Triggered is brought to you by Midway USA. Just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Taurus USA, designed to protect. Volquartsen, engineering the world's finest rimfire rifles, pistols, and parts. And Franklin Armory, making some of the most innovative guns in America. Welcome back to Triggered. Over the last months or so, we've talked a lot about 3-inch snubs as a good alternative, a holster-based alternative for carrying a lightweight revolver. And basically, I had friends ask, they said, well, you got a lot of 2-inch snubs too. I said, well, I do. A variant, at least, from the Ruger LCR J-frame, Charter, whatever, and Taurus. And the specific question was, if you can shoot .357, why would you want to limit yourself with a 38 plus P revolver? So to kind of deal with that, today I wanted to show you the Taurus 605. Now, it is what I guess a main product for Taurus for years and years and years. Since 1995, they've done something in this 605 line. It's basically a 5-shot snub in .357 Magnum. And as you can see here, it is very similar to the 856. This is the 856 38 Special Plus P snub, 6 shots. .357 has 5 shots because they want a tougher cylinder with a heavier pressure loads. Let's give a weight comparison to maybe put this in some kind of context. It's 24 ounces. A J-frame, a steel Smith & Wesson J-frame, let's say a 640, I think that's right, comes in at around 22 ounces. And if you go to a Ruger SP101 on .357, you're going to end up with about 26 ounces. There's a reason that I'm sure you've read this, I'm sure you heard it. If you want to shoot .357s, you end up going to the steel frame guns, SP101 or this 605. The reason is physics. .357 is a powerful cartridge, generates a lot of pressure. Coming out of a smaller gun, the recoil can be anywhere from, wow, that's really unpleasant, to holy cow, that sucks. Really good friend of mine, a lot of experience, carried 2 of the lightweight Smith & Wesson J-frame .357s. And we were at Gunsight one day, and I asked him, I said, do you have a lot of trouble with those .357s in terms of hanging on to them? Man, there's an awful light. And he goes, I don't ever shoot .357s in them. I never shoot .357s in them. So, oh, he goes, I shoot 38 wad cutters to practice with, and I carry them with .357s. Okay, that works except for a fundamental problem. The fundamental problem is time to shot split times in a self-defense situation. I'm very much of a theory that the more holes is the better. The faster you can deliver a number of telling hits on an aggressor, the more likely you are to be safe. So if you're going bam versus bang, you're going to get more rounds out of a 38, even a plus P, than you're going to get out of a .357. But if you must, there are a number of .357 loads that are optimized for shorter barrels. They're still going to kick you pretty hard. I like the 605. Like I said, I've had one for years and years and years because it is kind of a baseline snub. It's got a pretty good trigger pull, what you'd expect probably in the 13, 14 pound range, which is what a snub trigger pull typically comes out. Should you ever need the single action, it's excellent in like the 3, 4 pound range, but you probably don't need it. I've always said that one thing Taurus did exceptionally well was their grips. It does absorb recoil. Now, it's not good. It's not a panacea. You know, you say, I got these recoil absorbing grips, so I'm going to shoot a hand grenade. It doesn't work that way. But as an overall package, it's pretty easy. I've run 38 plus Ps through it, and it was a cakewalk. In my first 5 38 plus Ps, I shot a 25-yard plate, no problem, 5 hits, bang, 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 bang. You know, all double action. So the gun can deliver, and it does give you the option if you want to shoot a .357, or conceivably, you may have a lot of .357 brass as opposed to 38 special brass. But anyway, 605, a workhorse in the Taurus line, and if you get one, go out and buy a box of 125 grain .357s, shoot 5, and that way you'll have the remainder for the rest of your life. Anyway, I am Michael Bain. This is Triggered, brought to you by Midway USA. You can find us in many places, michaelbain.tv. You can also find us on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, push that big red subscribe button, click onto that, and I'd like to get as many subscribers as I can before I'm deplatformed, in all honesty. In any case, once again, remember, we are in a different country than we were last week, and that requires different thoughts, and it requires you to have a different mindset when you step out your door. So you stay safe, and we will see you next week.